This is what you need to make your wheat bread. 2 cups of whole wheat flour, 4 to 4.5 all-purpose flour. Save the half cup for later to dust your surface. 2.5 cups of warm water, 105 to 110 degrees. 1.5 tablespoons of instant active dry yeast, not rapid rise. There's a difference. 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of oil. Canola oil works great. 2.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. All right, as soon as you have your measurements, let's start working. I advise you to measure. Baking is an exact science, and until you feel comfortable making your bread, then you can change things up. Let's go. Now this is your wheat sponge. I use Green Lion Bread organic flour during the pandemic because that's the only one I can find, and I like it, so I'm keeping it. Add your yeast. Now, I can tell the temperature of water by touch, but if you feel more comfortable using a thermometer, please do. You get the hang of these things once you do it more often. Mix it up. Baking comes in steps, and bread takes patience. If you want something fast, go to the grocery store, but I guarantee nothing in the grocery store tastes like this. Put some plastic wrap on top to let it sit for 20 minutes. Doing this will give your yeast a chance to activate. Take off the plastic wrap. Look at this yeasty magic. Now we're going to add this to the dry ingredients that you pre-measured. You'll be using a dough hook to knead. Now, I also advocate doing this by hand. It's a great way to release all the day's aggression. But I feel lazy today, so I'm going to use my KitchenAid. Okay, now it's time to add your all-purpose flour, sugar, oil, and don't forget your salt, and of course, your wheat sponge. If it's a little humid outside, your dough may be stickier than usual. Feel free just to add a little bit more all-purpose flour. Do it by tablespoon by tablespoon. You don't want to overdo it. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. You're going to let your loaf cook for 20 minutes. In the last 10 minutes of your loaf baking, put your rolls in. As you can see, it's working up the gluten and pulling away from the sides. Knead it just a little bit more on the table and let it rest. And now that it's resting in a warm area, let me start dinner, and the heat from the kitchen should help it rise. Look at that baby. It's double to triple its size. So pull the plastic wrap off. It's going to stick a little, don't worry, it's fine. The KitchenAid did most of the work, so I don't have to beat it up too much, but don't forget to dust the surface of your kneading area. Luckily, no one pissed me off today. But I am going to work it a little. Just move to the side because I can't get view. All right, so I guess I could have cut that out, but what are you going to do now? So now I'm going to scale it. One half will be a loaf, and the other half I'm going to make into hamburger buns. Now the hamburger buns, I scaled to 5 ounces. I should have made 6, but in this case, I made 5 hamburger buns. Now this loaf pan is a little small than what I could have used. I usually use this loaf pan for pound cakes, but you have to use what's available. Now for the hamburger buns. Tear your digital scale, 5 ounces. Like I said, I made 5 hamburger buns, but I suggest you make 6. So your loaf won't be as huge. But hey, I'm making this for me. And one thing about baking, you're going to learn every time you make something. So just keep doing it. Keep practicing. Keep baking. Take a piece of dough, manhandle it, tuck it in, and you're going to flip it over and roll the dough with either 1 or 2 hands. It's easy to start with 2 hands per roll, but the more you do it, the better you'll get, which is most like everything. Just keep practicing. Now you're going to bake the rolls with dimple side down. And this is also fun to do with kids. Just make sure they wash their hands first. Okay, I know my silplat looks kind of old, but it's also older than most of you. So take care of your silplat, it's going to last forever. The silplat and I have done a lot with each other. And I let my loaf rest a little bit. The more you let your dough rest between manhandling, the fluffier the turnout will be. My loaf has been in the oven for a good 20 minutes. Your roll should bake for 20 minutes. Bench rest your loaf and the rolls. You want your gluten to rest between each phase of kneading. No one likes tough bread, so don't overly manhandle your rolls and bread. I'm using a milk wash. You have a choice of using an egg wash or not using anything at all, but a milk wash will give it a nice matty sheen. Egg wash makes it very glossy, and I prefer that on pie crust rather than rolls. Now here's the loaf without any wash at all. See how matted everything is? And here are my hamburger rolls. Notice the subtle gleam, a thing of beauty. Take a serrated knife and let's cut into that bread. All right, time for brunch. I made a poached egg with tomato and avocado. Do not judge me, I like poached eggs. For dinner, I made a hamburger using one of the lovely buns that I made. Find this recipe and more at pastryprophet.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. What would you guys like me to make next? Thank you for joining me on this baking adventure, and happy baking!